I now call the Carroll County work session for January the 2nd, 2025 to order. Happy New Year to everybody. The first thing we'll do is we're going to move into the business session. We're going to have the financial report from the finance director.
Happy New Year, Commissioners. We have before us the November financials. We ended November with a total revenue number of $42,646,877, and our expenses were $32,363,426. Our expenses are running about $2.8 million ahead of last year, but compared to budget, we're right in line. So our revenue as a percentage of budget is 53.3%. Last year it was 52.98%. This year our expenses are running at 40.5%, in line with last year, slightly higher, but 40.29%. We're 5 months into the year, so that puts us about 41.67% through the year. So we're running slightly below where we would be for the year. Our revenue's coming in, like I said, it's above last year. We're doing well on that. The only thing that we're running behind on is local option sales tax and franchise tax. But sales tax seems to be coming back a little bit, so I'm encouraged. The collections that we received at the end of December from November were up a little bit above the same period last year, so I'm encouraged about that. Cash-wise, we're doing fine. We're a little lower than we were last year in the general fund, but we're still adequately funded as far as that's concerned. In our SPLOST, in our 21 SPLOST, we're spending down on the Judicial Admin Center on the 5th floor over there. We're also spending down on the Government Admin Building up on College Street, and we're winding down the Billerica Fire Station. We do still have to settle out the retainage on that, but maybe January, February, we'll have all the payments made as far as that's concerned. We did get the clearance to do some demolition upon the property on 61 to get rid of those houses and start getting that property ready as soon as we have funding available for development there. On the SPLOST, our receipts were 2.639, and we earned about $200,000 in interest last month in the 21 SPLOST. And in the 15 SPLOST, we didn't really have any expenditures related to 15, just the LMIG money. Big portion of that, we spent about $250,000 on striping. We've striped a lot of miles of road this year, and the state has funded all that through their LMIG project, or LMIG project money.
Any questions?
Ms. Searcy, on the interest line item from 894 prior year down to 718, is that from daily accruals that interest rate has fluctuated with the market, or have we renegotiated anything that we had a set fixed interest rate on, or are we spending down on these projects and so some of that money is coming out, or is it a combination of all three?
It's a combination. The rates obviously have come down. We were averaging about 5.2. We're down to about 4.9, and then our cash balance is down about $1 million lower than it was last year.
Okay, it's still a good number. I was just curious what the combination looked like on that. Thank you.
There's no further questions. We'll move into the business session part of our agenda. The first thing on the agenda is 10-1, the district attorney contract. We have our brand new district attorney for the West Georgia Circuit, Sarah Japor, here today, and we have Stacy Blattman who will be presenting this item.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The first two items have to do with the formation of the new West Georgia Judicial Circuit. They're contracts that we had in place before with the Coweta Judicial Circuit, and so now we just need to enter into new contracts for the West Georgia Judicial Circuit, which is comprised of Carroll County and Heard County. So they're the same forms. The first one's with the District Attorney's Office, and it's for the state-paid county reimbursed personnel. And the budget amount is, the amount in the contract is what you have in your budget. It's just for the 6-month period for the rest of the fiscal year. And so it authorizes the DA to enter into that contract, and also for the Coweta Judicial Circuit to act as the fiscal agent, and is necessary for the transition of accounts, employees, and other expenses. And the second one that we have, item 10.2, is for the Public Defender's Office. Again, it's the same contract form we've had with them. It just has these updated judicial circuit name, and also the budget amount is just for the 6-month period.
Are there any questions for Stacy or Sarah or Jason Jones, who's here representing the Public Defender's Office? Well, seeing and hearing none, are y'all okay with putting 10.1 and 10.2 on a consent agenda for Tuesday night?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Stacy. The next item is 10.3. We have the County Attorney Avery Jackson here for the PTO policy transition of accrued leave balances.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners approved a new PTO leave policy for the county employees in July, and at that time we estimated what the initial payout would be for to bring the current accrued hours in compliance with the new PTO policy. And we have today for your consideration a resolution to approve the transition of those leave balances from sick and vacation time to PTO time, and then to pay out the comp hours that have accrued and the sick and vacation hours that are being converted to PTO that are above the new PTO cap that the board put in place. And the amounts in the resolution are about $82,000 less than what we estimated in June, because the employees were able to take some time off and get those balances down for you.
Do we have any questions for Avery?
Mr. Jackson, I know we're not discussing the integral parts of the policy today. We're just approving the funding, and this is good that it was less than the expectation. But just, I guess, as a reminder, when we approved this, we talked about we were going to try to have a review process 6 months in to see how this was working amongst the employees. It's a large population base with nearly 700. So I just wanted to reiterate that point, that we hope to look at this in a few months and just see how the new policy is working, correct?
Absolutely, and let us know your questions and concerns as we go along.
Thank you.
Are y'all good with putting this on a consent agenda for Tuesday night?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, 10.4, the CAD system, a consideration of proposal of Mission Critical Partners as a consultant for the evaluation of the computer-aided dispatch CAD system and mobile data system with procurement and implementation services to be funded from the 911 fund balance, and to authorize the chairman to execute the contract and take all other actions in connection with the project. And we have Gary Thomas here, who's our chairman of the 911 user board, and we have several other members of the board here too as well. So Gary, I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here today on behalf of the 911 Users Board concerning the CAD system. There are multiple members of the user board present today, and I'd like to ask that they stand just so that you see who they are. And I appreciate them being here today. That system has been experiencing some challenges for the last 3 years. These challenges increased significantly in complexity and frequency in April of this year, and those challenges have continued for the past 9 months. We've attempted to resolve those challenges with the CAD vendor to no avail so far. Some of those challenges include missing remarks on CAD screens, missing call codes on the screen, self-changing call codes, missing medical data, time issues, communication server issues, customer service issues, GPS location issues, and call initialization delays. The Users Board established a subcommittee in May of '24 to review the ongoing issues and to make a recommendation to the full Users Board. That subcommittee consisted of Fire Chief Chuck Barnwell, 911 Director Felicia Rowland, 911 CAD Manager Matt Klotfelter, and myself. The subcommittee worked through the summer gathering information concerning the challenges with the CAD and attempts to resolve those challenges. The subcommittee also looked at companies that could possibly provide us the expertise needed to fully evaluate the challenges with the CAD and the overall performance of the CAD for current and future use. The subcommittee spoke with Caliber Public Safety, Fitch and Associates, Mission Critical Partners, Oracle, and SmartCop. I'd like to talk to you just briefly about each of those companies and why we chose Mission Critical Partners as our recommendation. Fitch and Associates only works with RFP and specifications for new and replacement CAD. Fitch and Associates at the time was a contractor hired by Tanner to assist us with the West Georgia ambulance acquisition, and so it didn't cost us anything to have some conversations with them, and they recommended Mission Critical Partners. They had worked with them previously on some other projects in the United States and felt they could probably do what we needed done. Caliber, Oracle, SmartCop are all CAD vendors. So they sell CAD systems, and we kind of stayed away from those companies because we weren't looking for somebody coming in trying to sell us a product while they're evaluating our existing product. Mission Critical Partners provided full information related to evaluation of the challenges currently being experienced with our CAD, and also the ability, if needed, to provide an RFP for a new CAD if that is warranted, but also the expertise to manage the entire process, including procurement and implementation. The subcommittee made a recommendation to the 911 Users Board, and the Users Board voted to make the following recommendations to you: that we contract with Mission Critical Partners to complete a CAD evaluation to answer the following questions. Can the CAD challenges be resolved by the current CAD provider? If the issues can be resolved, establish a time frame for resolution. Partner with the Users Board to ensure complete resolution of all CAD challenges during the agreed upon timeline. If Mission Critical Partners determines the challenges cannot be resolved, the 911 Users Board recommends that Mission Critical Partners do the following: work with the Users Board to develop an RFP for a replacement CAD, and work with the Users Board and the Board of Commissioners for procurement and implementation of a replacement CAD. Mission Critical Partners will do the following for us. They'll meet with the end users, the member agencies, to define functional specifications and requirements, determine the state of our existing CAD system, address priorities and challenges of the existing system, produce an assessment report with recommendations for our existing CAD system, ensure sufficient data is captured that an RFP can be developed if the system replacement is required, and they're estimating the CAD assessment process to take approximately 90 days. The proposal cost: the CAD assessment is $44,000. The optional phases, the specification writing and RFP development if needed, is $43,000. The system procurement process would be $39,000, and contract negotiations would be $11,500. The total cost for assessment and getting us through a contract, if needed, is $137,500. System implementation and cutover services were not quoted because we're not to that point yet. Questions?
Mr. Thomas, before us today, you're asking for just the $44,000, just the initial review process. That's the monetary amount you're asking?
Yes, we want to do the assessment.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And then moving forward, depending on if we believe that there's other remedies that we need to take, you and I had some discussions, and I know that in purchasing the old CAD system, I'm not suggesting we're going to be purchasing a new one, but if the old one, I think we took a formula and basically divvied up that cost and shared that with other municipalities and those that use the 911 system. So I guess at some point in the future, if we got to that, that would be something that we would need to assess.
Something we would need to discuss, yes, sir.
Sure, okay. And also in our discussions, and I know that we're not putting the cart ahead of the horse, we need to see what this review comes back and tells us, but one thing that we had discussed that I thought might be prudent was to try to have some kind of third party, such as this company that you're looking to hire, or maybe it's additional training in-house, but some kind of review process, not just waiting until, hey, we think we've got a problem, but having something maybe on an annual basis or twice a year, whatever that would look like, to have another firm that has the expertise that we trust to make sure that they're going through and looking at things, that the contract that we have with the company is definitely being met.
Yes, sir. If the board approves Mission Critical Partners, after mine and your conversation, I did speak back with them, and that is something that they also do. It's not in this contract, but it's certainly something they could do for us on an annual basis if we chose to do so.
Sure, and I think the complexity is, this is such specialized, even with our IT department, not saying that our professionals are not great at what they do, but they're not employees of this particular company and how the system was written and so forth. And so I think that that requires some additional expertise, not just what we have in-house to expect them to fix problems of someone else's system. So that's something that I hope that we'll look at regardless of what this brings back. Thank you.
Are y'all good with putting this on a consent agenda for Tuesday night?
Yeah, and I want to thank Gary. Our conversation really kind of got me straightened out on this. Chief Barnwell, Felicia, you guys helped us focus on what was going on here, because when I first heard about it, I went, uh-oh, no idea. But I really appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good evening.
Great. Thank y'all. All right, we're now going to move to 10.5, the USDA lease extension. We have Stacy Blattman, who's going to go over this with us.
Thank you. The USDA's lease at 997 Noonan Road expired in December, so they've asked to renew that for up to 5 years as their standard request for renewal. And with the USDA, U.S. government having the right to terminate that lease on 120 days notice. So the proposal is to extend it for 5 years at the current rental rate.
Any questions?
And they do have the opportunity to cancel the lease.
They do, with 120 days notice.
Thank you.
Are y'all good with putting this on a consent agenda? Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 10.6 is the recreation RFQ, the lighting design professional. We have Thad Ferguson, our recreation director, here to present this.
Good afternoon to all. First of all, I want to say thank you to Mr. Chance and Ms. Stacy and her team on putting this RFQ together. But basically what you have before you is a request for qualification for a consultant to come in and help us kind of assess our electrical needs outside regarding our new lights that we're wanting to put up, and someone to also help with the lights themselves, of getting us new RFPs for the light project. And then also they would assess any electrical issues that we're currently having, design a new upgrade or a fix for that, and then again help us with the RFP for the electrical side as well. So just before you is the RFQ that is before you that we are looking for approval.
Are there any questions? And Clint, you may want to weigh in on this a little bit, because I know you were helping with Stacy and Nicole, and thank you to Stacy and Nicole working over the holiday on this.
Sure. So considering some of the complexities that we were running into, basically we didn't know through Mr. Ferguson and his team if we were going to have an entire electrical change out before we have these new lighting fixtures installed or not. And so we obviously didn't want to do anything to potentially void the warranty if we decided to go with whatever company to bring in those fixtures. And so considering those and some other complexity issues we ran into, we thought bringing in a professional, as Mr. Ferguson said, might be the best option, to let them come in, analyze the electrical system, analyze what an RFP might look like, and trying to narrow the scope of getting some fixtures that would be adequate, would still be within a certain budget, and then looking at the warranties, helping draft and work with the committee and reviewing those when they do come in. So just thought, all the things considering, it is $1 million approximate budget on this particular project, and so thought that it would be prudent to bring someone in to help us navigate through this, to make sure we're getting the best price, best quality product, and we're not going to do anything to jeopardize the end user that we may choose to jeopardize anything with the warranty. So that was kind of the process. And all the information is verbatim in there of how this will go through, the minimum qualifications that the expert or the firm would have to have, and then the review process of what would go through that to make a recommendation back to the Board of Commissioners, and then ultimately our approval. And if they were hired, they would go to work in trying to formulate the review process, and then ultimately putting together an RFP, whether that's two separate ones for the electrical and the fixtures, or whether that's all combined in one. We would depend on the expert to use their knowledge and bring us their recommendation.
Are y'all good with putting this on a consent agenda? Okay, great. Thank you, Thad.
Thank you.
I meant to back up the 10.5, which was the Correctional Institute Security System and Video Monitoring Upgrade. We have pulled that one till February, so I didn't want y'all to think I forgot that one.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah, my mistake in letting you know that. Okay, so the next thing we have is the readoption of the Carroll County official zoning map, and we have Ben Skipper with Community Development here to present this item to us.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, much like you have your annual check with your doctor, we're at the annual recheck and readopt the zoning map, not zoning ordinance, zoning map. Let me correct myself. We do this every year. Last year, we had a few zonings that went, if you'll remember, from residential down zoning to agriculture. So what this is readoption of the map, and the map will reflect those rezonings from last year. Any questions? Thank you.
Are y'all good putting this on our consent agenda? Okay, great, thank you. All right, so that would be 10.8 and 10.9, abandonment of roads on Taylor Rainey, and Hoopie Creek Church Road. We will discuss those on Tuesday because we have to have a public hearing with those. So we'll move to 10.10, which is an appointment to WARS, and it's a consideration of the reappointment of Matt Clodfelter, who is here if you have questions, to the Board of WARS for a term expiring January 31st, 2025. Okay, are y'all good putting that on consent agenda? Okay, great. All right, thank you, Matt. And then we have 10.11, an appointment to the Ag Advisory Committee for District 5. This is to fill a position, I believe Sam Duke has decided to resign. So, Ben, I'll turn that over to you.
I appointed, or asked we appoint Casey Vance. I feel like Casey will make a excellent member of the board, being his diversity in not only ag but business as well. Being that his farm down on Brock Road, where I just came from, was with hay bales on fire, as a matter of fact. But anyhow, his farm was one of the first farms in the conservation easement program, and so he was kind of on the forefront, along with the chambers and such, getting that whole program started. And I know that this Ag Advisory Committee has a big push on that program, which I think is wonderful. So I think he'll make an excellent fit.
Are y'all good with putting this on a consent agenda for Tuesday night? Okay, great, thank you. 10.12, election of vice chairman. We'll do that on Tuesday night too. So as a quick recap, our consent agenda will be the district attorney contract, the Georgia Indigent Defense Services Agreement, which is a public defender's office contract, the PTO policy transition, the CAD system the consideration to hire mission critical partners, the USDA lease extension, the RFQ for the lighting design professional at the rec department, the readoption of the Carroll County official zoning map, and the appointment of Matt Clodfelter to the WARS Committee, and the appointment of Casey Vance to the Ag Advisory Committee. Those will be on consent agenda, and then we will have on Tuesday night the zoning, and then we'll vote on the abandonment properties of 10.8 and 10.9, and then we'll have the election of the vice chairman. If there's no other further questions, all right, we will adjourn the meeting.